What's up, guys, and welcome to my channel, Philly in the Philippines. If you're checking out my channel for the first time, thanks for stopping by and checking it out. If you're a returning subscriber, super subscriber, welcome back. First of all, let me begin by saying that I'm not doing this video in no way to disrespect the Filipino people, the Filipino culture. I'm doing this video to maybe help people understand some of the things that you have to deal with coming here to the Philippines, say maybe for the first time, or coming here to retire here. I'm just sharing my experience and the things I have dealt with and the things I have done to try to understand the Philippine culture and the people. We'll never be able to. You know, I've been here going out 6 years, and I probably know like this much of of you know, the culture, and so we're not born and raised here, so we don't understand it all. That'd be like somebody coming to the United States, where I'm from, and understanding our culture. Unless you're born and raised, it's hard to understand the culture when you go to a different country. Remember, whatever country you're from, the Philippines is not that country. I'm just sharing my experiences over the past almost 6 years of the things that I have come across, how I've dealt with it, and kind of like where I'm at right now. So please don't, jump up and say, hey, if you don't like it, leave my country and this. I'm just sharing my experience. So it's not meant as a video to disrespect anybody, any culture, any people, none of that. Just sharing my experience. I even wrote like a little list here so I can kind of go through it. One of the first things when I came here, me being raised, I was always taught, open the door for people, open the door for people. Just one thing that I've always done. And I remember coming here, and say I'd walk up to like a grocery store or a mall or a bank, and I noticed, that there was a woman coming, a child coming, an elderly person coming, and I would just open the door and wait for them to come and then walk in. And I'm always sitting there, I was always like, okay, well, no thank you? Like, you can't even say thank you? And I thought that was kind of weird for me. Like, here I am, doing what I've always done my whole life, and back where I'm from, most people are going to say thank you. So I was like, what? Are they rude? Are they ignorant? What's the deal? So after a while, I had spoke to a gentleman one time, and I asked him, what's the deal with that? I opened the door out of, just being generous and nice, and they don't say anything. Why are they so rude? And he said, because here in the Philippines, we have security guards and door guards that open up the doors. And it's just part of their job. I'm like, okay, now I understand. It doesn't stop me. I still do it today. Open the door. I don't expect a thank you. And some people will say thank you. They will say thank you, some won't. But yeah, that was just one of the things here that kind of like puzzled me. Like, you can't even say thank you. Another one is lines. When I mean lines, I mean like, okay, a store's ready to open and you got a bunch of people outside waiting in line. I remember, like I said, I'm sharing my stories of things I've seen. I remember it's down at City Hall, and there was a little vendor set up, and they had some snacks and stuff that they were selling, and I wanted to get some. So I kind of walked up, and there was no line, there was no order. It was just people like, one after another climbing over somebody, placing my order, grabbing this, I want that. And I'm looking, I'm like, why can't people just form a line? What's wrong with that? So I sat back and I just kind of observed. I mean, I worked in corrections, retired from corrections. My job for the most part was sit back and observe. So I'm sitting there observing what's going on, and I'm like, why is there no order? Why are people just being rude? Why are they being ignorant? And I looked over and I seen a woman, an elderly woman, kind of standing there by the, by the table. And she was standing there waiting and waiting. Meanwhile, other people were jumping in front of her, jumping in front of her. Finally, the woman turned to me that was selling the product. She said, "Sir, can I help you?" And I said, "No." I said, "But you know what? The elderly woman over there, she has been waiting longer than me and longer than most of the people here. You can serve her before you serve me." I just didn't understand that. But that's just the way it is. You're sitting there as a foreigner just observing and thinking, man, these people are rude. They're ignorant. Get an order, get some order, form a line. That's just the way it is here. You have to just kind of accept it. You kind of have to get yourself in there too, along with everybody else. But you will see lines outside your banks. If the bank's not quite open yet, that's why they have the security guards there, because they will form and get people to form a line, because if not, it'll just be a bum rush. And like I said, coming from, where I come from, and maybe it's just my area where I grew up, people kind of had that respect and kind of formed a line. Speaking of line, here was another one. I remember standing at the grocery store. I'm standing there, getting ready to check out. All of a sudden, this Filipino comes up and just, boom, jumps in front of me. Like, whoa, how disrespectful is that? How ignorant, how rude. I'm like, all right, I'm not saying anything. Then it happened a second time. I'm like, and I turned to my wife, I'm like, what's going on here? Just don't see us? Or are they just, this person just ignorant and rude? And she said, no, what happens a lot of times, if people only have one or two items, they just butt in front of people. And the people will be like, they won't say anything. So I'm like, okay, but where I come from, that's line jumping. So it happened a third time. And I just wanted to test it. And I said, excuse me, didn't you see me? Oh, sorry, sir. And I'm like, no, that's okay. I said, I know you only have 2 or 3 items. I understand. But you might run into that here. And you might think, how rude, how ignorant. It's just the way it is here. Just the way it is. What is getting mad, getting upset gonna do? Nothing. You're just not gonna change it. Eating's another thing. We grow up with spoons and forks and knives. Here you could be sitting in a restaurant, a nice restaurant, and you might have people right next to you just eating away with their hands, and and even here, even at my house, we could sit down to a meal. Food's on the plate. Me, my wife, Hannah Grace, and Bing Bing could all have a spoon and fork and a knife beside them. No, hands. You might see that here and think, oh my God, are we in the Viking age? What's going on? Like nobody knows how to use a knife and a spoon and a fork? How disgusting. It's the way it is. That's the culture here. That's the people here. You can go to restaurants and all it is what do they call it? Voodoo fights or voodoo food? If you've been here, you know what I mean. It's just basically the food's spread out on a big banana leaf and you just eat. That's the way it is. Just learn to accept it. Animals is another thing. Where we live, we have a neighbor across the street and they have a dog. And sometimes they just tie it up so don't get in the trash. It's like, well, why don't you just pick up the trash can instead of tying the dog? Anyways, this dog might bark all night long. And you might think to yourself, wow, these people have no respect. They have no respect for the neighbors. What about the neighbor that, is trying to sleep so they can get up in the morning? What about the neighbor that has a baby? Why don't they have respect? I know when my dogs are barking outside, I'll get up and I'll come out and I'll, hoi. That's a great line to learn. Hoi. And the dogs will stop. But that's just the way it is. People will do that. A lot of people just sleep through it. I've come out when that dog's barking and given the old hoi to it, and it stops barking. But I'll wait. And after about the 3rd or 4th hoi, it's done barking then. But you just got to deal with it. That's part of the culture here. It's part of the way people live. Roosters, you know, you might have a neighbor with a rooster. You're not going to change that. I mean, I live in a subdivision here. Even in the city itself, downtown city, center city Anglets, you will see roosters on this side street. You got to learn to live with it. You learn to deal with it. Can't get mad. That's the way it is. But yeah, animals, that's another thing. Music, big thing is music here, guys. You know, you might have a neighbor across the street and they might video you sing till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Same thing. Wow, they're so ignorant. Wow, they're so stupid. They're this, they're that. Don't they know people got to sleep? Don't they know people got to get up the next day? Don't they know kids are sleeping here? That's so rude. That's ignorant. Why do they do that? That's how it is here, guys. It's how it is. A lot depends on your subdivision or where you live. Our neighbors will sing, no problem. Sing away, have a good time, play music. But 10 o'clock, guys, they will shut it down. They will turn the music down. They will quit videoking. Yeah, they'll still sit over there. They'll still drink. You can still hear them laughing and stuff, but at least they have that respect to turn it off at 10 or turn the music down at 10. Depending on where you live, people do that. Other areas, they won't do it. And you might think that's just ignorant. That's just disrespectful. No, that's how it is here. You could go down to, you can go to the beach or something, rent a little cabana where you can set up and have, you know, a little picnic with your family and all that. And there might be multiple ones there. And one group might just show up with a big old loud radio and they're going to blare it, they're going to play it loud. And you might say, that's disrespectful. We're here to enjoy our time with our family. It has nothing to do with disrespect. It has to do with, that's just the way it is here. That's the culture here. It is what it is. You're not going to change it. At first it might drive you crazy, you know, because that's not how you lived your life. But you can't let it drive you crazy. Driving's another thing here. In our area, you know, Angeles City here, you might have a stop sign or two, if people even stop. A traffic light, now they will stop at a traffic light. But there's no stop signs, there's no yield signs, there's none of that coming off the side streets. I call it a give and go driving here. You got to give, all right. Hey, I'm on a main road, let me stop and let a bunch of people come out, or people will stop and let you come out. And you know, you might, I always nod and wave. Hello, thank you. And most of the time people will nod, they'll wave back. People will cut in front of you. You can't be like, that stupid idiot, you know, what the hell's he doing? You know, cutting in front of me and, you know, hey, blow my horn. And you can't get mad. It's just the way society runs here. It's the way that people drive. I have learned different areas in the Philippines drive differently compared to other areas. That's the way it is. It doesn't make them dumb. It doesn't make them stupid. It doesn't make them ignorant. It's the way it is. Another one is directions here. You know, you hear the big word. You always hear that word, saving face. You know, you ask somebody, hey, where's this? Oh, down the street. You get down the street and it's not there. You're thinking to yourself, this guy stupid. He ain't down the road here. What's a guy dumb? What the hell's wrong with him? You know, you might think all these things. It has to do with saving face. They will tell you something, even though it's wrong or right, just so they won't make themselves appear to be non-knowledgeable. I've come to say non-knowledgeable. I even seen it yesterday up at the mall trying to find that GoPro battery. I asked someone in the store, hey, I know you're out of stock. You know anybody here that might carry it? Some of them would say no. Okay, I can respect that, instead of sending me on a goose chase. Others, hey, try over there. Hey, try over there. It's them, I think, trying to maybe direct you in a different direction, or it's just them making themselves to appear to be knowledgeable, I guess you could say. But I've always learned to ask 3, 4, 5 different people. If you want to know something, you can't get mad. You can't, you know, say this or say that. It's the culture. It's the way people live here. And here's the thing, guys. You might be mad at your neighbor for playing music, or you might be mad at your neighbor for a barking dog or a rooster, but you know what? That same neighbor, if you needed help, would help you in a heartbeat. That same neighbor will offer you a meal. That same neighbor will offer you a drink. You got to remember that. The Philippine culture here is a culture of its own. You know, happy, friendly, giving, caring, family-oriented. It is a great culture. You know, I used to sit and talk with expats. And all they did was complain. Yeah, I went here and this is stupid, and these people didn't know this, and you know, they were, you know, this, and just basically running people down and talking nasty about the people. I'm like, I don't want to be like that. I don't have nothing to do with people like that. And these same people are still doing it today. They haven't come to learn to just accept it. You're not going to change it, just accept it. Now when I sit with, you know, the friends I do consider my friends, we just kind of laugh. You know, we tell stories of things we might have run into, things we might have encountered, and we just laugh. We just laugh. What good is getting angry doing? What good is getting mad doing? It's not. It's not. But yeah, you'll learn if you spend time here. If you open your mind and just kind of absorb things in, and don't let things get to you and anger you, you'll find out the people are amazing people. The culture is the culture. You have to accept it. If you can't accept it, then there's no sense being here. If you want to be here and be angry all the time, I know I've got subscribers that, you know, I come to the Philippines, I spend 6 months, and 6 months all I can do, then I have to leave. Understandable. At least they're smart enough to know, hey, I can only deal with it for so long. But I don't know a lot. I've only been here going on 6 years. There's people that have been here longer than me, know a lot more about the Philippines and the culture than I do. You got to understand, when you leave, say where we're at, go to a different area in the Philippines, they might have a different culture, a way of life, and how they do things. Like I said, I'm not here, I'm not disrespecting the people, putting them down. That's not what this video is about. It's me sharing my experiences, how I dealt with it, and just kind of letting you know how you could deal with it. Everybody deals with situations differently, right? So anyways, guys, with that being said, I'm just going to wrap this up. If you sat through this video this long, thank you. Once again, if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, checking out all my other videos. I have over 1,300 and some videos. Please check them out. Our travels, where we go, the people, the culture, food, restaurants. I cover everything. I'm not a single focused channel in the Philippines on just one thing. I try to cover everything, just my life here. So, all right, guys, we'll talk to you later.